Hi there. So every business needs a business plan, and so your Etsy business should have one too. Now, this is not a business plan that you're going to give to investors. It's not like that. You're probably not going to raise money for this, right? The purpose of this business plan is just so you can wrap your mind around this business and get a sense of what you're getting yourself into. Is this going to really be good for you long term? Well, how do you know? Well, you got to take a look at the business as a whole, and looking at kind of thinking about it. The business plan of the business really will help you get there and get your ideas organized around it. So many people think that business planning is difficult, right? It can be daunting and scary, right? Maybe you think that, but it doesn't have to be. It can be. There can be many parts to a business plan. You can get complex. I have a full course on business planning. There's a lot of components to it, depending on your business, but it doesn't have to be. So let's kind of take a look at it, how to make it easy for you. Usually, if you want to take the easy look at it, right, there are only three things, that you have to keep in mind. Your product, how you sell that product, and whether that's going to make sense for you financially. In the case of Etsy, I'm going to say, okay, one more extra thing, not three, but maybe 3.5 for it's your inventory management, right? You need to either get the products from somewhere or make them and keep the materials and then store them somewhere. So you have inventory management that you have to take care of, right? So 4 things in your case. Although inventory management can be put under the product sort of bucket, right? So how is it going to work? So let's talk about the product first. In Etsy, it's simple. You need to basically either create products or source them from somewhere else that have a good balance of time and materials that it takes to create, right? It shouldn't take, they should not be resource intensive, right? Because you want to be able to create a lot of products so that you can focus on selling them, and usually you don't sell them for too high of a price on Etsy, with exceptions, but usually the prices are reasonable, and so you want the cost to produce the product to be relatively low so that you can make a profit. And we'll talk about that in a second when we talk about finances, right? Or you'll have to sell enough of them. If the profit per item isn't very big, you'll have to sell a lot of them, right? And of course, to sell a lot of them, we need to talk about your marketing. And the marketing on Etsy is very clear. You gotta sell a lot of the products, right? As many as possible. So you've gotta take the complete advantage of Etsy SEO, Etsy category searches, recommendation algorithm that they have, your own social media strategies, your own Google SEO, and your own large existing marketing channels. All that's gotta be put to work to promote your product. And then, of course, so you got the products, now you're selling the products, and then there's the concept, this is part of the financials, the unit economics of your business. And what's the unit economics? Well, let's say you have a widget. It costs some money to get the materials for the widget, produce the widget, even selling the widget, shipping the widget, right? You put some time and money into that, right? So what's the product? How much will it sell for? Will that be profitable for you? And of course, if that's profitable for you, will that be profitable enough? Let's say you sell 10, 100, 1,000 widgets. Will you, at which point, when will you meet your financial goals? And by the way, if you have to sell like 1,000 widgets, you may have to hire help, right? So then the costs of product production go up, and then you have to recalculate the thing. But that's sort of the balance of product, marketing, and the finances, right? It all has to play together, and it's like a 3-legged stool. If one leg is broken, then what happens to a 3-legged stool? It falls over, right? So all the legs have to play well together. And of course, in your case, there is inventory management. And for Etsy, it's of course important because you've got to ship the product. You got to have some storage space or product production space where you create the products, right? That goes into, if you have an office space at home, even that kind of prices, you know, it's an additional cost because you're paying more for your rent, or you could be using something that space for something else. So, and of course, the time that you have to put into producing the products, getting the materials, shipping the products, all that stuff, that's also a cost. You gotta really, so inventory management is an important part for you. If you can build it into the kind of product you have, right? So if the product you have, let's say, is simple enough to make that you really just need like 20 minutes and you can make it that day and ship it, well, guess what? Like, probably you can wait a long time before really having inventory space, right? Before really worrying about it, because you can just kind of wing it. But at some point, hopefully you'll sell enough that you won't be able to wing it as easily with your inventory. You'll have to have a lot of stuff, you know, like on hand, like a lot of the materials, because you might be getting a lot of volume of demand, right? This is really what you want. And then you'll have to start thinking about inventory. But if I was to recommend the strategy, I would recommend getting simple products and really focusing on figuring out how to sell a large volume of them, right? Because once you sell a large volume of them, the other problems, they become good problems to have, right? Oh, it's a good problem to have, like you need more inventory space, right? And then you figure that out. But certainly inventory won't matter if you can't sell the products, right? So you've got to focus first on your sales and make sure the product is good, and then kind of work out the kinks of everything else as you go along to make sure it's all profitable and you can scale this business and stuff like that. But the most important thing is the product and the sales, I would say, in the beginning.